Welcome to Filmi Ladies. We are Pitu and Beth, and in this episode, we are going to talk about Ikka. This is a recently released movie that is streaming on Netflix. It's a courtroom drama. We decided to watch it because A, we're trying to watch more things that are new and modern instead of just being retro ladies all the time. And two, because this movie stars two actors that both Beth and I really enjoy. So Beth has Akshaye Khanna in this movie, and I have Sunny Deol. So it sounded great. It turned out not to be great though, but it's fine because we still got our fill of the people we enjoy. This episode will contain spoilers. So if you guys intend to watch this movie, then now is your chance to step away and you can come back later. Beth, what is your overall feeling about Ikka?
I I had moments with it. There were moments where I was annoyed to be watching it, and then there were moments where I thought, okay. Um, I was never delighted.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, the strongest thing I can say about it was okay. But I'm not a courtroom drama person.
Okay.
I like the solving of crimes. I'm not interested in the dispensing of justice around the crimes. But this did have a bit of crime solving in it. So I do appreciate that. And as stated, I'm an Akshay Khanna fan, and there's no way I'm going to watch Durandar. So it was good for me to get to see at least something that he's up to right now. Um, I had many questions about many things, and some of them were about wigs. Can we talk about wigs?
Yes. So I was at work all day and Beth was watching the movie. And every time I would get back to my phone, I would get like a WhatsApp from Beth and it would be wig related. And at one point she was like, "This is my opinion, but I will defer to your wisdom." And I laughed out loud and I almost choked on my tea. So thank you so much, Beth. You almost like killed me at work. But it was like, since when have I become like this intellectual genius on the topic of wigs?
Well, because I wanted to know specifically about Sunny because his hair looked very strange to me. And it not like it was wearing him exactly, but there was something disconcerting to me about his hair, and I couldn't tell if it was a wig or if it was dyed.
Right.
I'm not a Sunny expert. I have not watched his hair change over the years. So what was your take on Sunny's hair?
So I was thinking about it. Akshay is obviously wearing a wig because he's worn
Obviously.
wigs forever.
Yeah.
With Sunny, I don't quite think it's a wig because he does have thick hair. Because I follow him on Instagram, so I see his
Mhm.
like pictures. But I
See, you're
think
an expert.
I am a Sunny expert. This is true.
Yeah.
But I think that whoever does his hair, and this could just be his fault as opposed to his hairstylist's fault, I think a big mistake that older actors do is that they insist on going like fully black with
Yeah.
their hair and fully thick with their hair, which is very unbelievable. I mean, the man is pushing almost pushing 70. Like, I understand that you're vain and I understand that you're an actor and you refuse to like let go of that, and like that's fine, but then at least have like a little bit of a salt and pepper look, like have some gray at your temples or something. The problem with his hair was it was so completely like boot polish black that it was
What it
unbelievable.
was. Yeah.
His beard too was like really
Mhm.
black. I was like,
Mhm.
really, not one gray. Like, I have grays and I'm nowhere close to Sunny Deol's age. Also, whatever they had, whatever like stuff they had used in his hair, like gel or mousse or whatever it is that they use, or maybe it's a wig, I don't know, nothing ever moves. And especially in the scenes of him with people who have actual hair, you can see how with the breeze, like there's like a little bit of movement, and his thing is just like it's on. It's like a helmet.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some fakery going on over there.
Okay.
I don't quite know if it's a wig. It just might be an extremely enthusiastic dye job.
Mm. That would certainly explain a lot. That answers
Yeah.
my concerns. And yeah, and I just looked up his age. He is only 5 years younger than Rishi Kapoor. They seem like different generations to me, and yet
Exactly.
no, they are not. He was born in
Wow.
1957, so Sonny is going to be 70 next year,
Exactly. Like,
which
he's
is
I have
wild.
to say, and I know I'm a very biased Sunny person, you're never going to get an objective statement out of me regarding Sunny. Having said that, I think he looks great for his age.
Sure. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't look 70, even though I know he's almost 70. which is partly why the jet black hair and the jet black beard is absolutely idiotic. Like,
Yeah.
at least go somewhat gray, like do a salt and pepper, like a
Or just
layer
a
look.
softer black, right? Because
Yes,
I suspect his hair was not black when he was younger. It was
it
dark
was
brown,
not.
right? So go back to
He
your.
always had that like darker brown, wavy, curly hair
Mhm.
back in the day, and now there's no curl in his hair, and it's all like fixated.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminded me of did you ever have that toy Magna Doodle where it's an encased plastic thing with magnet
Oh
iron
yeah, yeah,
shavings
yeah.
in it and you can move the little filaments around with a magnet
We
to
called it
draw?
Etch a Sketch.
That too. This is a different, same vibe, but different mechanism. This
Okay,
is a little wand where you can move the
okay,
filaments. It looked like Magna Doodle was on his head.
yeah,
I say this as
basically,
a person who colors her hair as well. So like I'm
yeah,
familiar
yeah.
with some of the pitfalls, but he should have better resources than I do. And
He might just be more. He's probably way more vain than you are, though.
probably I
I
hope
mean,
so. I hope
yeah,
so. I hope I'm
yeah,
not as vain as a movie star. Um, and Akshay's wig, I did do some reading online. Some people said they thought it looked really oily. I didn't have an
yeah.
issue with it, and I thought it matched his character really well. So
Slimy.
yeah. Um, those are my most pressing points about this film. Uh, I have to say that this is one of my moments where I feel stupid. I actually did not. So again, spoilers right now. The fact that Akshay is the biological father of the ill child, I did not see that coming. I really didn't, because it
Mm.
implies that Dia Mirza, it necessitates that Dia Mirza had a sexual relationship with someone else before Sunny, before she married Sunny. And I'm like, you know what? Good job, movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it also then complicates the whole, we find out that Sunny fired him from law practice, in addition to not wanting to defend him because he's clearly disgusting and guilty. Um, so I liked those complications and I was pleased to be surprised.
I liked some of those complications, but I also found them to be very, very convenient.
Oh, sure. Sure, sure.
To the point where it was like, like I almost feel like I would have enjoyed the. I mean, there were many flaws with this movie, but I almost feel like I would have enjoyed this movie more if it was just like Sunny Deol is an attorney who hates Akshay Khanna for reasons unknown. Like he's just like a jerk coworker that he got fired, that who got disbarred because of him, which is reason enough, and he
Yeah.
doesn't want to defend him. But then maybe he comes in like to some political pressure or something like that, and so he has to defend him, but loki he wants to get him caught anyway, but he also has his own professional reputation. Like that whole like cat and mouse thing would have been appealing enough to me, where I did not need the whole like my child is dying
The
of leukemia
sick
angle.
child thing was really, I mean, they did introduce it with a bit of a splash, no pun intended, but the poor girl's nose is bleeding during a swim meet. That sounds very stressful and
It
alarming.
does.
And even looking at it in the I thought they filmed that. I
The
don't know if it
visuals
was
were good.
realistic, but I thought it was impressive visually.
Yeah,
It impressed upon me. Um, but I just, and that necessitated the little girl being a character. I'm like, oh, who cares, right?
yeah,
I didn't I didn't need any of that. And I think you're right, a tighter cat and mouse just between those two guys.
yeah,
And if their wives are kind of involved, that'd be fine. Or
yeah,
one Akshay's political father and Sunny's and everybody's law partners, and then Tillotama Shome's lawyer, who is coming off a little bit like Elizabeth or Elspeth from the Good Wife and all. Um, she she could be in there too, and she's always good to watch. So
yeah.
that would have been plenty.
I think so too. I mean, yes, one of the central ideas in this movie, like the reason that Sunny Deol has to take this case, even though he really doesn't want to, is because, I mean, it is a form of blackmail where he's basically like, I will represent you and I will get you out. I mean, I'll get you a not guilty verdict, but then you have to donate plasma, like or like bone marrow, whatever, to my daughter, who is actually your biological daughter. I mean, I get why they did that, but also they could have used some other form of blackmail or something, like it didn't, the whole like the kid has cancer thing I could have just done without it, because it just made it unnecessarily melodramatic, and I
Yeah.
don't think it was needed.
No.
It can just be a story about two people who have like a professional rivalry, and now one of them has to defend the other even though he has so much disdain for him. I
Yeah.
think that would have been interesting enough.
Yeah. Excuse me. Can you please share your impressions of Sunny's entry scene? Because that gave me the giggles.
I mean, it wasn't just his entry scene. He had so many entry scenes in this movie, which were like the typical Hiroki entry. Like he had the music. Also, what was up with the audio in this movie? It was the constant, like, melodramatic like music where they were trying to make everything epic. And I mean, they just stopped short of doing like slow motion scenes and stuff, but it was very much going into like Rajni or like Salman Khan territory and stuff. But it's like every time Sunny Deol came, they had to have like the booming music. Every time not Seth, Akshay Khanna was coming, they had to have like some sort of like crafty music. And it's like it just wasn't that impressive or epic to me for them to need to do that. Like the soundtrack was just very
The background,
hilariously
the
overwrought.
background music had a lot of opinions and it needed to have a seat, take a
Yeah.
seat, take several
It
seats.
needed to simmer down.
Yeah, and I'm gonna call out this person because I thought this was notably terrible. This, and I feel bad to be doing this in a way because I think background score composers get way overlooked in
Yes.
popular Indian cinema because, of course, when there are songs,
Yes.
people don't really pay much attention to background music, myself included. Julius Pakiam, boy, this was not it. But whoever, but also maybe it was an issue of mixing and like how loud it
Yeah.
was. So really, it's probably not
I
Julius's
mean,
fault,
it
but.
probably also was like the director's fault too, right? Like the director probably was like, I want really epic, like dashing things. And this movie really wanted to be all like, Sunny Deol is like boss man because like
Yeah,
he can't just have a name. He can't just be like Arjun Mehra, whatever his name is. He has to be Ikka because he's the ace, because he has an ace up his sleeve. Like it was so, like I'm a Sunny Deol fan and I was like, y'all don't need to do so much. Also,
right.
I don't know if you caught that one reference, which was very much catering to Sunny fans. It's the scene where Tillotama in the court, she says something, her arm is in a cast, and then she says, oh, because I don't have like the dhai kilo ka hath, which is very much a reference to some, and then he like smirks. I was like, we know he has dhai kilo ka hath. We love him for that. We don't need this. Like, it was very like, on the nose, and it felt a
Yeah,
little like catering. There was a laziness
yeah.
to this movie, like with the music and the double entendres and stuff like that. I was just like, I don't really need any of this. Like you could just make like a good old courtroom drama movie and it would be fine. But they didn't think it was fine.
The his entrance really got me off on the wrong foot with this movie. Or
Yeah.
however I should put that sentence together. They lost me right away with that because I didn't think I was going to be impressed necessarily. I have seen Domini, so I have seen
Oh
him do
yeah.
some courtroom stuff, and I thought he was way better in that, but that's
Oh
also
yeah.
a much better movie than this one. But so it's not like he could never possibly do this, but having your hero start out by literally lecturing a room full of students who are like falling all over themselves to applaud him and whatever. I'm around students a lot. I don't know, I've never been a law student. I'm like, is that how they act? I don't think so. And then just yeah, the worship, to not only have the audience worship him, but to have people in the movie worship him right away is very
Yeah.
distasteful to me. Like, let trust your story enough for us to do that on our own. Like it's
It
just,
was
yeah,
very much like a Salman Khan treatment,
yeah,
where everything was like look how amazing this person, like hero aaya hai. It was
yeah,
very that, and it's like for a streaming movie on Netflix, you don't need that. I mean, I kind of get it when they do it for movies like Jawan or Pathan or something like
right.
that, which is meant to be larger than life. Like that's fine, or like The Bung or stuff like that. I don't know that a movie with this kind of a ecosystem needs that,
Yeah.
but it was definitely like look how amazing he is. I will say I giggled about the example he gave, because he was like, uh, the person is drunk and the example he gives, and they drive over the homeless people and they die, and then the person is like, I was like, Salman Khan, question
Yep.
mark. And then he was like,
Yeah.
it's the spoiled brat of a rich person, and I was like, mm-hmm. And then he's like, do you think it would be the same reaction if it was a truck driver? And I was like, no, it wouldn't. So I did agree with all of the law students where they're
Yeah.
like, yes, there are in fact two sets of law and justice, and absolutely. There's like, if you're rich, you can get away with everything. We see that literally on a daily basis. So that was cathartic to me, to have someone acknowledge that and not be like patting me on the head and being like, there, it's all going to be okay. It's always a good ending. And I was like, no, it's not. Like, it's an infuriating world we live in. So
Yeah.
it felt good to have someone acknowledge that.
Mm,
But it was definitely like a bunch of hectoring and stuff. And I was like, okay, fine, you know.
yeah. Let's talk about Akshay a little bit. Uh, I very much enjoyed his entry, which is the opening of the film where he's, with that young woman in a bar and they're,
Yeah.
being flirty and they leave the bar together and it's wordless because the music and the credits are playing over it. I thought that worked well to set him up as, you know, slime.
Skeevy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And yet it wasn't the first minute or two are not actually incriminating, but then when you see what supposedly or you are made to understand kind of what they're suggesting happens, which of course does actually happen. There's no mystery there to us. Um, it flows really well. And I thought his sort of louche, uh, slimy, but with flashes of genuineness, I think worked really well for me. I am also predisposed to enjoy his performances. So
Yeah.
did they work for you?
No. I typically love Akshay Khanna, but I felt like he was really hamming it up in this
Oh yeah,
movie. I
same.
felt like there was such a disconnect between him and Sunny as well. I felt like Akshay was doing too much. And I
Mm,
felt like someone needed to rein him in. Like, I had some of the
mm,
same issues with Akshay's acting that I used to have with some of early Shahrukh, even though I love early Shahrukh, where I was kind of like, can you please rein this guy in? Because, like, I know you're trying to play someone who's manipulative and sociopathic and, all of those things. And he said, like, but you don't have to snarl in every screen, like in every scene, like you can snarl a little bit. You don't have to keep doing that. He was almost giving off like it was just too much. And I would have preferred for him to rein it in a little. And then Sunny, I thought, wasn't doing enough. Like Sunny in some of those scenes with his family, especially like in the scenes with the Amirza and the daughter, which, first of all, I didn't really enjoy those scenes anyway.
mm.
But I felt like he could have brought a little bit more emotion. He really didn't seem like he was that concerned about the goings on. So I just felt like Sunny needed to do more and Akshay needed to do a little less, and then it would have been a little bit better. Also, I was reading reviews about this movie on Reddit, and a bunch of people were saying on Reddit that they feel like Akshay Khanna was basically just doing the same role that he's done in Durandar, which I
Oh,
also have not watched Durandar, so I have no idea. But they basically said it's like he sleepwalked onto the scenes of Ikka from the scenes of Durandar, just did
oh,
the same
that's too
thing.
bad.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I haven't seen Durandar, so I don't know. I just thought like he needed to tone it down a little. Honestly, I think the only good acting in this movie was Tillotama.
And no surprise there. I
Yeah,
didn't know she was in this, and I
I
was
didn't either.
quite surprised to see her because I just figured she'd have something better to do.
Yeah, I mean, how many roles does she get though? You know what I
I don't know.
mean? I don't think she
She
does a
should get
lot of
all of
work.
them, but
The last time I saw her was in Lust Stories, and she was good in like Lust Stories too, and she was good in that. But it's not like, I just feel like Bollywood is, first of all, very unkind to aging actresses. Like if you're
yeah.
35 plus, forget it. And also with Tilotama, she's never been a star. She's always been an actor, and I think her looks have always held her back in the industry. So, I mean, I'm just happy to see her because
She's doing a lot of TV.
I mean, yeah, and I mean, this is technically streaming as well.
Right.
But I thought she was so good.
She
She
was
was
so
so
good.
fun. I
Yeah.
loved like the whole like bumbling thing she was doing and like the whole like harried working mom thing and like all those horrible maxis that she was wearing like in her house, but like she's cooking and I mean there was just something so endearing and adorable about her. And then also her feeling really kind of out of her depth because she's like, I'm a junior lawyer. Like she
Yeah.
only gets this job because the senior prosecutor has a heart attack and can't do the case anymore. And so it goes down to her. And she's like, oh my God, what do you mean I have to do it? And so, like, some of her imposter syndrome, I just thought she was funny and adorable and relatable, but also smart. And she was like doing her best to figure out how to like outwit all of these people. And like some of the scenes that she had where she's sitting in like the little cafe with the police inspector, and she's like racking her brains, and she's also like venting, and then she complains to her team. Like she was awesome. I loved Tillotama, and I was like, thank God for her, because Sunny and Akshay were not doing it for me.
No, they weren't. No,
What
they
did
weren't.
you like about Tillotama's work in this movie?
I just kept thinking about Elspeth Tascioni from Good Wife and The Good
I've
Fight.
never seen Good
I,
Wife.
okay, and I've never seen Elspeth's own show, but so this is a character who gives the impression of being flighty, flaky, disorganized, not necessarily mousy, but gentle, but she's actually wicked smart and will
Ye-
like, she's the ace,
Yeah,
and people underestimate her regularly, and that is often an enjoyable character.
yeah,
She's very quirky, and Tolotomo's character was not as quirky as
right.
that, but this the Elspeth character is very quirky. And if you have too much of her, it probably is too much, which is one reason I've never watched the show that's just about her, because I feel like comparing her with like, you know, um, Christine Baranski's character, you're like, there's a real difference there. And you're like, this is the interesting flavor, but might be too much. But anyway, so this, woman who is underestimated is actually putting up a really good um fight against the ace.
Yeah,
And she does figure out some of his tricks, and then they at the end they become allies, even though they were on different sides of this particular case. So I liked that too. I was
yeah,
satisfied that, and I assumed that Sonny's character would figure out a way to technically get him off the charge, but then get him another way,
yeah,
and he did. Um, but I liked that could then bring Tilotomo's character in together and have them work together, because the sort of like senior mentor to more junior lawyer was nice and stuff like that. So
yeah. It reminded, like, how would you put her character versus Olivia Colman in Broadchurch? Because I love how,
oh yeah, very similar, right?
right? I mean, she's a
Mhm.
cop, she's not a lawyer, but
Yeah,
still, that same thing where she's like overshadowed by flashier people like David Tennant,
yeah,
and he's always kind of like misjudging her or underestimating her every time he's like Miller.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
it's a similar thing, right? Where people just like underestimate you. I also loved her in that scene where she and her husband are at the Taj Mahal Hotel. She looks so pretty in that sari. She was so adorable. Like I was like, yes, we finally get to see you in something other than those absolutely hideous maxis you insist on wearing. And she was all decked up. She was wearing this like beautiful
yeah,
sari and like her little jhumkas, and so
yeah,
darling. And I was so excited. I was like, oh, are they going to show like a romantic like anniversary or something? Because until then, her husband doesn't seem particularly like awesome or anything. Like he just seems kind of like regular. And then when he told her about the job, and she was just kind of like, yeah, they're trying to get to me through you, and it's a bribe, right? Like you, like she would have to recuse herself. And
yeah.
then the way he pushes back, like it just felt so bad for her,
I
because she was
know.
like, yeah, but I thought she was so good in that scene as well. And then when she bumps into Sunny and they have coffee, and then she kind of like eavesdrops and stuff, she was adorable in that. And
Yeah,
I felt bad for her, but I also liked how she like stood up for herself in that scene. And she also like gave me the sense of like being unappreciated no matter what she does, right? Like how dare her husband. I was so infuriated on her behalf, like when he's like, well, you're a government officer and junior one at that, so it's not like your salary's enough. I was like, yeah, but she has a job and you don't. And also,
right.
she's the one that we see doing groceries, and she's the one that we see cooking. Meanwhile, you're at the
Yeah.
breakfast table being grumpy that she isn't bringing you breakfast in time. So, like, how about you shut up? So, I was very like, go Tilotma.
How about you shut up is a lot of this movie.
Yes, it actually is, isn't it? How about you shut up? I
About
mean, the
you
judge,
shut up.
the judge seemed to think so too. He was like, how about y'all shut up?
I wanted a better set of zingers and all for the judge.
Mm.
I
The
feel
judge
like,
just looked like he was phoning it in.
yeah, I felt like that character was really underwritten. And while I don't need the judge to be like a full-blown major character, that position in a courtroom drama can really do a lot of the Greek chorus kind of thing, can dress down or build up anybody who's in the room. They can make certain demands that have to be followed, whatever, whatever. And I think that's really fun. And one of the things I really loved about the show, The Good Wife, which is really the only legal drama I've ever really liked, and I did like that show a lot, was they had this rotating cast of judges. And
Mm,
you'd see different ones at different times, and some of them would repeat, and you'd be like, oh, it's that one, because they
okay.
all had their own ways they tended to interpret how they like to be spoken to or to have evidence presented and that kind of
Interesting.
thing. So I think that they missed a beat with making the judge. They could have made that judge more interesting than he was. And I also think it would have been really interesting to make that judge a woman because it was
Mm,
a sexual assault and then eventually murder case about a woman victim. And the key evidence really comes from Akshaye's wife.
right.
And the fact that she's a woman married to a disgusting man actually becomes quite critical to how people treat what she has to say. And I think that could have been even more interesting to have a woman in that position.
Yeah.
So I think they really missed a beat with the judge, unfortunately. But that wouldn't have made or broken the movie for me, but it would have been a really enjoyable improvement.
Yeah. I think the movie had enough structural issues with the direction. I don't know if I have a problem with the script. I mean, yeah, the whole like kid thing was annoying, but I think the direction itself was such a mess. And then the acting itself was so subpar by both the men. No
Yeah.
complaints about Tillotama.
No.
It was my complaints are with Sunny and Akshay.
Yeah.
Um, that I just, there's just so much more that could have been done better.
I would also like to complain a little bit about Dia Mirza because she's someone I have positive feelings for, and I can't tell you why because she hasn't been doing a ton lately, although she was an
Right.
alpha, as we discussed a little bit. But I feel like she too probably could have done more, but that character was had some interest to it, but that just didn't really bubble through very well for me. I thought she was underwhelming, but also perhaps under directed or something.
I think like the Amirza has never been a very strong actor. She's very pleasant and she's pretty,
Mhm.
but that only takes you so far. And I didn't mind her so much in her scenes with Sunny Deol because she's not doing a lot in those scenes anyway. And I didn't mind her in the scenes in the hospital with her kid. Like she's just like a caring mom, whatever, that's
Yeah.
fine. Where her lack of acting talent became extremely evident was in her confrontation scene with Akshay Khanna because Akshay Khanna
Yeah.
ate her up in that scene.
Yeah, he
Like
did.
she's supposed to confront him and be like, "You were basically an asshole. You treated me poorly. You wanted me to abort my child, and so I had an." Presumably, I think she had like an affair with their boss, which is Sunny Deol, which is a whole new can of worms. And then he married her, and then I assume it was a shotgun wedding. And then he accepted the child as his own, etc., etc. Like she actually had an interesting backstory, and she
Yeah.
has a reason to be really mad at Akshay and to like get it all out. And she has a reason to emotionally blackmail him and be like, "You owe me this."
Mm.
Because like this is your child, and like, you owe me your like plasma, whatever the hell bone marrow stuffs
Yeah.
that you need to give me. And she just like didn't do much. Like I could see she was trying, but it just wasn't landing for me.
Yeah.
And the scene where he's like just like lazing in that bed, I wanted to throw a water bottle at
Yeah,
his
he's
head.
very irritating. He does that really
He's
well.
so smug.
And his boy, you can see his dad in that. So, like,
Yes.
he had the master to learn from being a loose, horrible man.
I just wanted to hit him on the head so
Mhm.
badly.
Mhm.
And then he's like, I loved you so much. And I was like, you shut up right now.
I loved when he came to the first meeting with the lawyer in his bathrobe. Like, that's how little respect he's going to put on this whole situation that he chose to be in.
So awful, so awful. But like also infuriating, but also entertaining at the
Yeah, yeah,
same
yeah, yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
And my favorite thing when he comes out in the bathrobe is that he has the temerity to ask Sunny Deol, well, if you weren't going to take my case, why did you even bother coming? It's like, well, you weren't going to listen to anyone. So why did you show up in your bathrobe anyway? Like, two
Right.
can play this game.
Right.
Yeah, he was awful.
Yeah.
But yeah, in that scene, especially with Akshay Khanna and her, I was like, oh man, like what I would do for someone like, I don't know, Shafali Shah or someone like, can you imagine Shafali Shah in that scene? She would
Yeah.
have been so great. She would have outacted everybody in that movie. So yeah,
What would you like to see both Sunny and Akshay do at this point in their respective careers? Like, I'm sure you have a wish for Sunny at least.
I don't even know at this point. Like I'm a huge I have like a lot of mixed feelings. So I'm just going to think aloud.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a huge believer in quitting while you're ahead. And I think that
Mm,
movie stars in particular really destroy their legacy by hanging on to stardom way past their due date. Like they overstay their welcome. Case in point, patron saint of Filmi Ladies podcast, one Mr. Devanand. Um, and so I'm a huge believer that like maybe if you're like pushing 70, maybe you should consider just retiring and like just posting sarso da saag recipes on your Instagram as he's wont to do. And you know, I enjoy that for him. Do you necessarily need to be acting still? I don't know. But
mm,
also, if you're going to act, given that you don't need the money and you don't really need the fame anymore, you're also not like anyone's heartthrob at this point. Why don't you do things that are really interesting and that cater to your strength? I don't blame Sunny for doing this movie because I think that's a step in the right direction. I like the fact that he's doing a movie where he's not like a truck driver, or he's not taking vengeance on people, or he's not running a truck over people. Like I like that. The lack of
yeah.
trucks is good.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's Sunny's fault that this movie is as it is. Having said that, I do think he could have acted better. Like I felt like
Yeah.
he was phoning it in. Like maybe he was just bored and he was like, I'm not enjoying myself. I don't know. Um, so I feel like I but then like on the other hand, I really like what Madhuri is doing. I know Madhuri Dixit is not the same
Mm,
age as him. She's in her late 50s, which is a far
yeah.
cry from Sunny Deol's age bracket. But I like the fact that she's still doing stuff. She's letting some of that vanity go. She's doing movies like Ma Ben, where she, even with the de-aging, she does not look glamorous. And
Yeah.
especially in scenes with Tripti Dimri, you can see who the heroine is now versus who is, mutton dressed as lamb. So I like the fact that she's pushing herself and she's doing stuff like that. So then I'm kind of like, well, why can't Sunny do it? But then maybe Sunny's over it. I don't know. Maybe retirement ages exist for a reason. Um, I would just like to see him kind of do better, do more. But I also don't think he has a very big bag of tricks.
Mm,
Um, he was always, Sunny has always been excellent at a specific thing.
mm,
He was never as versatile as his dad was. He was never a Dharmendra, but he's
sure.
very good at a specific thing, kind of like Ajay Devgan is as well. I just don't know how many of those movies are still being made. Like I feel like that era of like the angry young man has passed, or if that era is still around, then that baton probably has been passed on to Ranveer Singh or something. So I don't know. Also, does anyone really want to see a 70-year-old being a vigilante? I don't know if anyone's interested in that. So I don't know. Maybe it's time to like fade away. I don't know.
Mm.
Is that an ageist thing for me to say? I don't know. I honestly have a lot of mixed feelings. What are your thoughts? Where do you stand on the idea of, like, I feel conflicted. I don't want to say
Mm,
that someone just because they're 70 need to like hang up their boots, but at the
yeah.
same time, I'm like, if you're not reinventing yourself, then I don't know if you're actively destroying your legacy.
Or is this just so different from what I don't include myself in this because I don't really particularly care about his earlier work, but like
Yeah.
this is so different than what he was known for.
Yes.
Maybe it doesn't destroy his legacy, but it's not adding or
It's
building
not
in
adding.
any way. Um, it is hard, I'm sure, to choose a script, right? Like I have no
Yeah.
idea what that process is actually like. I don't know if Sonny has enough clout to get himself good scripts or not. He sure couldn't launch his kid, right?
Yeah.
Like that, the Dales are a little bit in there, like that it's not enough to be a Dale,
Right.
right? And Bobby, as Bobby's doing stuff, and I mean, as much as I thought Bobby was in over his head in Alpha, I'd take that over this any day, performance
Right.
wise, no question, no question, because there.
Plus, we haven't seen Animal, and people loved him in Animal.
Right, right. And while I know you were saying you thought Sonny wasn't doing enough, I thought there were quite a few things where I was like, okay, man, calm down. But, um, so I don't, is there room in the marketplace for all
Mm,
these heroes of different ages to reinvent themselves all the time? And I don't know the answer to that question. I
yeah,
feel like I've seen a lot of posts lately, mostly on YouTube, because that's where the bulk of my social media energy goes, I guess. And I don't comment there. I just, look at things. Um, I feel like there are a lot of people saying like, what's happening to Bollywood or whatever, whatever, which is not an argument I really want to get involved in because, these things don't change and they don't exist in a vacuum. There are audiences to consider. This
right.
film, I cannot imagine this film's going to do particularly well. Maybe Netflix doesn't care and it makes enough that it's fine or whatever. But
Yeah,
is there room for everybody to go reinventing themselves all the time? And is there an economy to support that in terms of building anything? And obviously, in theory, we build based on the scripts, but we know that's not how mainstream Hindi cinema has tended to work. Not all
right.
the time, not every project, not every person, but I'm generalizing, right? So people having a star persona is maybe less important now than it used to be, but it is still important. But then I also think about how much fun people make of Ayushmann Khurrana for doing quite a few films that are the same. Although not all of his films are like that. They really aren't. But like, you
Or
know,
Rajkumar Rao.
or Rajkumar Rao, right? Who is doing something different kind of every time I turn around, I feel like. And as we
Mhm.
discussed with Toaster, like, ugh, he
Yeah,
did he should be well poised to choose something interesting, and he seemed to have whiffed it as well, or at
yeah.
least in terms of actually getting it into a product that we liked. So yeah, I don't know the answer to that. And would Sunny be willing to do cameo type things or supporting actor like Rishi was doing those great like dad and grandpa roles or like friendly neighbor roles and stuff. He had an amazing run towards the end of his life. He really did.
Hmm.
And as we talked about with him, I think there were only 2 years since his debut, between his debut and his death, where he didn't have a film release,
Right.
which
But
is
Rishi was way more versatile than Sunny is.
way more versatile. Wait, but
Yeah,
we didn't all know that.
right.
I think, to be, and my favorite example is his villain turn in Agnipath. Like, I would
Yes.
never have seen that coming, and he was
And then
magnificent.
contrast that with his sweet, bumbling grandpa like figure in like Do Duni Char,
Right.
or
And
his wine swilling person in what is that movie I love that's terrible? Jab Tak Hai Jaan.
right. Or his like doddering seeming, but also kind of scheming and kind of naughty in Kapoor and
Kapoor.
Sons, right? So,
Yeah.
and those were age appropriate roles too, which
Yes.
is not the only consideration, but I'm also awfully glad when a leading man will do it. And maybe he's not the leading man, but he's certainly a big name. And,
He's a big name.
so why he's really a role model for that, in my opinion. So Sonny's got no time at all to catch up to Rishi Kapoor doing these amazing things like Rishi,
Right.
you know, Rishi was
It's also a weird age because I think by 70, which is almost 70, by 70, you really should have graduated into doing the paterfamilias role and being like the Amitabh Bachchan in Mohabbatein.
I mean, you certainly shouldn't have a 10-year-old kid.
Yes, but I think that's also part of the
But
issue
they
is that he
shouldn't, but
doesn't,
like there's a little bit of it going on there.
yeah, but also he doesn't look 70. So I can't
No.
buy
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy Sunny as like the boarding school stupid principal going Prashant whatever
No.
Pratishtha Anushasan like
No.
Amitabh, like he doesn't look that old, but he clearly doesn't look young either. So it's a weird space to be in. You know who I think is doing really well is Anil Kapoor. I like
Yeah.
everything Anil Kapoor does.
Yeah.
But again, that's a much more versatile
Sure.
actor. I think if you're really versatile, then you can be pushing 17, you can still be doing stuff.
Sure.
But that's just Sunny's just not in that. I would be very interesting to see how Ajay Devgan does when he's older, because I feel like Ajay Devgan is kind of like a younger Sunny Deol model.
Mm. Mm.
So we'll see. What do you feel about Akshay Khanna's? Again, that's a different age
I
group.
did I did skim
How
a few
old is
reviews.
Akshay?
He'll be 50, so he's another of the
He's pretty young.
later Gen X stars, right? I would love to see him in a comedy because I think
Mm,
he can do that sort of like he seems like the straight man, but actually he's got a bit of a twinkle and he's kind of in on
right.
it, sort of thing. Like Akshaye is the best example of that. But I think using him maybe as second lead or
Mm,
slightly below lead would be great. However, I do enjoy the idea of him as a villain or a foil, um, but just not as cartoonish
yeah.
as this whole production is. It's not just him, you know, he's up against a very cartoonish hero as well.
This whole movie is very melodramatic, which gives it a very like 80s, 90s throwback.
Yeah.
So that's not going to fly in 2026. Like you need to like tone it down.
I would be really interested. I haven't seen a lot of Akshaye's most recent films, and if listeners have an opinion about one that I should see, I would love to know. I know he's been doing things here and there, and I'm glad for that. I'm glad for him. I think he's a really good actor. This was not his best for sure, but I think he can be really good. Um, yeah, but I always want to see people do comedies. So I don't necessarily need him as a romantic hero, but I'm open to that. Like if there's another Lust Stories compilation that comes out and they want to
Okay,
put
yeah.
him in as a a dad, like he's old enough to be the father's hero at this point, hero's father, sorry,
Right.
at this point, or uncle, like slightly younger uncle or something like that, or like boss, teacher, you know, I think he'd make a pretty interesting teacher character if somebody wanted to do something
See,
like that.
Seth is doing all of that stuff really well.
Yeah. And he's good as a cop. So we could have him
Yes.
be a cop, and that would be, you know, that would also be, you can have that same sort of authority, but flexible with truth and lies and morality and justice and all those
Mm.
kinds of things, which I do think he can do. So, yeah, I can
Yeah,
see
he's
why
good
this,
at gray.
yeah, and I can see why this role might have appealed. A lot of the reviews I read said he was just repeating his Durandar character
Yeah.
quite a bit, and I can't speak to that, but I can believe it. He is pretty broadly drawn in this
Yeah.
for the most part, with some exceptions that I liked, but um, yeah. He also we we were talking off camera about, you know, Rishi Kapoor's comment in his autobiography about I'm a Kapoor, I can't be Garib, no one would believe me in that. And I think actually kind of falls into that too, like he's not a villager.
Mm-mm.
He seems too metro somehow to
And
me.
Rahul
So,
Khanna is
well,
absolutely
no,
not.
no, certainly not. Um,
Rahul
so
Khanna always has to play someone who is to the manner born. Having said that, we remember him in 1947 Earth,
right.
where he literally has like a gumcha on him, and I'm like, sorry, I don't believe you.
Well, in his Instagram, you know, and Twitter presence, he has shaped his persona in that way through
Yes.
social media. So I don't think anyone would cast him that way now. But I mean, those two brothers would be really fun in something where they are like business tycoons or, and they don't have to be the main point, but they could be there, right? And that would,
Yeah.
you know, anyway. So yeah,
You know what made me giggle?
mm,
Like the scene where, I mean, my favorite scene in this movie was definitely the infuriating scene where Akshay Khanna is in bed being all like, I don't give a shit. And the part where the Amir is like saying, he was like, you were 22 and you wanted to get married and have a child and have a family. And she was like, yeah, and you didn't want to do any of those things. You just cared about your freedom. And he just smirks at her. And I
yeah.
was like, literally, Akshay Khanna in every single interview has said that he loves being single. He loves being child free. He's one of the few, like him and Vidya Balan are probably the only people who talk about being child free. Although Vidya Balan is married,
Oh,
and just
Urmila,
like
right?
and
Urmila.
Urmila, yeah,
Yeah.
but again, Urmila is married. Akshay Khanna is the only one who is like child free, and he's unmarried, as is
Yeah.
his brother. And
Yeah.
so I just kind of like giggled a little because I was like, yes, he does enjoy his freedom.
But that kind of like thing, give him a role where he can wink.
Yes.
He's a winker. Not in the same way as Feroz Khan, but he's got that same kind of like, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
in on
Yeah.
it
Some of that
kind of
charm.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this movie was it was okay. I will say I'm not mad I saw it though.
No, I'm
It
not either. I probably would have wondered.
Yeah, it didn't annoy me. I mean,
No.
I think the only movie that really annoyed me this year that I saw was probably Toaster. That one annoyed
Or
me.
Toaster. Yeah.
Yeah. But Maben was excellent. I enjoyed that one a lot.
Hmm.
And then Kartavya, sure, it's a dire subject, but
Oh, it's
I
great
thought Seth
though.
was great.
A really good.
Seth
Yeah.
was awesome. So no complaints with that either.
No.
So I mean, I feel like Ikka was fine. It could have been a lot better, but also like, okay, it's a one-time watch. I'm not gonna tell anybody to go watch it, but mm, okay.
And
I
if
did
someone said,
Tillotama.
should I watch it? I would say, here are the things that I annoyed me about it. If you're like a
Yeah.
courtroom drama fan, yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
I do feel bad for Tillotama though, because she's so awesome in this movie and like no one's gonna see this and it has bad ratings. And I think she deserves to be seen. I thought she was adorable. She was the only person who was actually doing a good job in this
Yeah.
film. And I can't get over Tillotama in her sari and her jhumkas at the Taj Mahal Hotel. She was just adorable.
And then at
So
the end, when she's like more in like what, like a black business suit, when they go to
yes.
get Akshaye's character, they go to like really literally put the cuffs on
And she
him.
was all like,
They're
what?
like, yeah, and she's all like slicked up. And you're like, yeah,
So cute. I loved her. I know. And then another scene that was kind of like, go on, girl, give us nothing, except it was the boy who was giving us nothing, was the scene where she did such a good job in the scene where she confronts Sunny. And she's
yeah,
basically like, you were my idol. And
yeah,
I wanted to be like you, blah, blah, blah. And then like you disappointed me. And he says some comment about like, I couldn't help it, or like he makes some sort of excuse, right? And she like tears up and then she just like walks away and he's just like stony faced.
yeah,
And I'm like, she is bearing her heart to you. I know you are Ikka or whatever, but you think you can give her something, something, anything. Come on, you can do it. And like he doesn't. But I just thought she was so like vulnerable and like adorable in that. And I just want more Tillotama. More
yeah,
Tillotama, please. Thank you.
yeah. I I think we're probably wrapping up on this film, but there's
Yes.
something I remembered that I want to say that drove me insane. There's a scene where the daughter, her friends at school have seen news coverage about this
The
case. They're
bullying.
like, this is what your dad does. And then she goes home and she's like, Daddy, Daddy, is this what you do? And her parents basically whitewash it. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is what your dad does.
Right.
And it pays for your school that has a swim team, even though you're like 9 years old or whatever. Like,
Yeah. And your amazing apartment.
this is the cost of your life. And it doesn't seem to, your dad does not seem to have a problem defending, because he's a defense attorney, generally speaking, right? He doesn't,
Yeah.
and he's probably defending some yucky people because they're the ones who can pay for that kind of, so, or is he usually a
Well,
prosecutor?
huh?
Is he
No,
usually a
no,
prosecutor
no,
or
no. He is a defense attorney, but like in his little soapbox at the beginning of the movie, I know this is not believable, but I'm just saying this is what the movie says. It's like in his little soapbox, he makes that little comment about how you don't have to be a prosecutor to be on the right side of justice. And you can totally be a defense attorney and be like standing up for good things. And so, therefore, his choice to defend Akshay Khanna, who's clearly a horrible person, is very much seen by the movie as him compromising on his principles
Sure.
because his hand is forced because of his child.
I just
But
I just wonder if you can do that and still have the amount of money that he seems to have. Although
I
maybe it's Dia Mirza's money. I
I
don't know.
don't think you can, but I'm just saying the movie
Yes.
says you can.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
according to the movie, he is that awesome person. And I
Yeah.
feel like I went through a phase when I was in college when the only things I was reading for a while were who is that person who is John Grisham. I
Oh
was
yeah.
constantly reading John Grisham books because they're such a fast and easy read, and I love The
Yeah.
Firm, and I'd seen like The Firm like 1 million times, and so I would just read his books, and they're all like a template. Basically, you've read one John Grisham book, they're all the same, but they were entertaining to read. And John Grisham lawyers often tend to live in the same la la land, like this utopian land where they're all like very like idealistic and awesome, but they're also like badass and
Mm.
everything, and they're always on the right side. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, even as like a 22-year-old doing their masters, I was like, this is bullshit, but also I enjoy it.
Yeah.
So there definitely exists a world in which you can be Sunny Deol and be so wealthy, and
And only
none of
defend
your money
very
is
just very deserving people who can somehow pay you handsomely.
Yeah, they're basically very deserving, but also conveniently very wealthy people at the same time. So I don't know what this world is, but I'm glad he lives in this world and gets to go on his little soapboxes.
Sure.
Okay. Did you have any parting thoughts on this movie?
No.
Did you have any parting thoughts on the wiggery?
I like movies with wiggery. I
Okay.
enjoyed looking for it.
Yes. I still think that the wiggery in this movie was not as entertaining as the wiggery in Hamraz, in the one where
Yeah,
they're doing the period drama,
right.
where Sunil Dutt and Mumtaz are together, and he has worn some extremely entertaining wiggery in that. I also tend to enjoy Prawn's orange wiggery.
I was going to say the king of wigs in Bollywood is Prawn,
Is Prawn,
both for
but
good and for bad, because he wears the most outrageous wigs with the most dignity of anyone. They never diminish him. He always manages to outact and have more presence than the wig would suggest. Always.
yeah, I
He's the
mean, if you look at
master.
a still of Prawn in like an orange wig and like the most questionable makeup, and
Yeah.
you're like, this looks terrible. But then you see him in the movie and you're like, I buy it. It's fine.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
works around it.
Yeah. There's also some good wiggery with Mumtaz. There's some good
Or,
wiggery with Helen.
oh,
Her
Helen,
blonde
yeah, for
wigs are
sure.
legend. And
Yeah,
then there's also some good wiggery with Saira Banu too,
yeah.
especially when she goes blonde and blue eyed for inexplicable reasons. Would you say the wiggery in Pakiza was entertaining to you?
Yes, I would say that. It didn't stand out particularly to me, but yes. Also, since you've said Pakiza, I have to say that Ashok Kumar is my favorite courtroom speech
Ah,
giver in Hindi cinema.
he's very he's he's the king of righteous indignation, isn't he?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But he never goes, I shouldn't say never. I have not seen enough of his copious filmography. He's much less likely to bang his fist on the table and stuff like that. He
Yeah.
keeps it a little more, a little less bombastic in a way that I really like, but he also has enough gravitas to be like, he's not messing around. And I appreciate that too.
Yeah. But he also always gives me the impression of being like just on the edge of having a meltdown. Like if
Yeah.
we were to send Dada Moni into the courtroom, having given him like an espresso, I
Oh,
think he would then bang the table. It's just that people were not giving him an espresso, Beth, and that is why you were seeing the slightly more
mm,
controlled Dada Moni.
mm.
But he was just one espresso away from losing his shit. So
Aren't we all?
we are, you know. All right. Well, I think that concludes this fascinating conversation on wigs and espressos and bad acting, and people in swimming pools with blood pooling out of their noses. And if you guys know how to be a defense attorney, but also be extremely moral and just and righteous all the
And
time,
wealthy.
and wealthy all at the same time, and also look 50 when you're actually 70, and have hair that does not move, then please tell us your secrets. We are very eager to know your beauty and hairstyling, and your life advice. And then tell us if you've seen Ikka. What did you think about it? What are your thoughts on what you think that actors like Akshay or Sunny Deol need to be
Yeah,
doing? Because clearly Beth and I are very concerned with their career. Like, we
very
should have become
concerned.
career counselors or something. So we would like to know your opinions also, because clearly these people are just dying to hear from us. And we will see you
They'll take
next
a
week.
call. They'll take a call from Vava Shasha Productions.
Do you think they have LinkedIn's?
Can't you just see Akshay Khanna in all the years where he wasn't working a ton, like updating his LinkedIn?
His LinkedIn is like loafing. His LinkedIn was
Like,
like
remember I
beach.
was in Tillotama Shome?
He's like beach. Rahul
Rahul's
Khanna's would
job is
just be like
cool.
wine, selfies. And then Sunny Deol's would just be like Sarson da Saag, Punjab. It was like years working, so many years not working in the pind, um,
Straight out of pinned.
straight out of the pind. All right. Well, we will see you next week. Thank you for watching Filmi Ladies. Bye.